All right, everybody, we are looking at the topic 14 test review. The first problem is a square pyramid with a height of 12 millimeters, a base that measures 10 millimeters on each side. On some of the problems, it might say that you've got a slant height of 13. Okay, here is how we know that. Okay, this right here, this triangle over here on the left side, triangle on the left side of the screen over here is a side profile of half of the pyramid. Okay, so the 12 going down the left side right here is the height. This 5 represents the distance in between that height at the base scooting over to the middle of the other base. Okay, so this triangle is a side profile of half of this pyramid, and we know that the height and the base are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so we've got in this situation a right triangle because that right there is a right angle. Okay, so if it's 5 and 12 for the two legs, you can use Pythagorean theorem, or you can just remember that that's one of those Pythagorean triples. And the distance right there for C is going to be 13. Okay, so that's how we get that our slant height going down the outside is 13. Okay, that's how we know. Now look at your formula. As I recall, the formula for the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height of the pyramid. And I'm taking that formula from the back wall. This is something that you should probably put on your cheat sheet. 1/3 times the area of the base times the pyramid height. Now, the area of the base, since this base is a 10 by 10 square, let me outline that square. That base is a 10 by 10 square, so the area of it is 100. And the height of the pyramid is 12, so the volume is 1/3 times 100 times 12. That's 400 cubic millimeters. There's the first part of your answer, the volume. Okay, and that's based on this right here. The base, your big capital B, is 10 squared, 100. All right, so lateral surface area, again, taking this formula from the back wall, it's written in green marker, 1/2 times perimeter of base times slant height. So that's 1/2, there it is, 1/2 times perimeter of the base times the slant height. So we've got 1/2 times 4 times 10. Okay, this is a square, and all four sides are 10 millimeters. So that means your total perimeter is 4 times 10, and the slant height is 13. Okay, so we punch all that in, 1/2 times 4 times 10 times 13. 260 is our lateral surface area. You've also got to remember that your total surface area, according to the back wall, is that lateral area that we just found, 260, plus the area of the base. So it's going to be lateral plus our capital B that we already found. So it'll be 260 plus 100. And your total surface area is 360. There's the lateral. All right. So there you got question number 1. Go on to our next one. Our next one, the aquarium has dimensions shown in the diagram, 36 by 12 by 15. So that means if we're doing the volume, that is straight up length times width times height. Easy peasy. Length times width times height is just 36 times 12 times 15. And your total is 6,480. Surface area, we've got a formula. It's on the back wall close to the bottom. 2 times length times width, 2 times length times height, 2 times width times height. Okay, y'all want to know a secret? It doesn't matter which one you decide is length or width or height, as long as you plug them all in only twice. Okay, so we've got 36 right there and there. We've got 15 there and there. We've got 12 there and there. As long as you've only got 2 of each one, should be all good. Okay, we multiply all of that out and we add it all up, and our surface area is 2,304. All right, there's your two numbers for this one, volume and surface area. Let's talk about this sphere. In terms of pi, that means we are taking this sphere, and when we do our calculations, we are typing everything into the calculator except for pi. Okay, do not type pi in the calculator if you're looking for it in terms of pi. So for the volume, we've got a formula this time on the side wall. The volume of 4/3 pi times r cubed. 4/3 pi times r cubed is 4/3 pi times 6 cubed. That's our radius on this thing. So really the only thing, remember that when you type this into the calculator, the only thing you're really looking for is 4/3 times 6 cubed. 4/3 times 216, which is 288 pi. Okay? So on Canvas, if this was your problem, you would only type in 288. Okay? You're only typing in the number that's before pi. Surface area, we're going to take this the same way, except the formula now is 4 pi times r squared. So we got 4 pi r squared, which is 4 pi times 6 squared. 6 squared is 36. And remember, the only thing that we're actually calculating is going to be 4 times 36. 144 pi. So 144 is the number you would type in there. This time we've got a 6 centimeter high cone. All right, this triangle on the left side, just like we dealt with that pyramid, this triangle is a side profile looking at half of the cone. Okay, think about a cone from the side. If you're not looking at any curves or anything, the side profile is just a triangle. And it says it's 6 centimeters high, and it's 16 centimeters as diameter, so that means 8 centimeters as your radius. Well, if that is 6 and 8, then that means your slant height going down the outside is 10. So that's going to be your slant height. Okay? If you have the slant height, then lateral surface area is pretty easy to come by on a cone. If you have slant height, lateral surface area is just pi RL. So it's just pi times 8 times 10. It's 80 pi. Total surface area, you're going to have to also include the base, your capital B, which on a cone is pi r squared. So it's pi times 8 squared, that's 64 pi. This number right here is not going to be an answer that you actually type into Canvas. This is something that we're going to use to find total surface area, and we're going to use it to find volume. Okay? In total surface area, we've got pi r squared plus lateral surface area. 64 pi plus 80 pi, 144 pi. Okay, that's one of the ones that you would type in as an answer. Now for volume, you need 1/3 of this capital B times the height. So we're going to do 1/3 times 64 pi times 6, the height of this cone. We multiply all of that out. Remember, keeping it in terms of pi, that means we're really only doing 1/3 times 64 times 6. 128 pi. Moving on. Drinking cup with a diameter of 3.5 centimeters, height of 8.4, and slant height of 9.1. Okay, here's something to consider on this. Okay, when you're dealing with lateral surface area, so consider this. If you were looking for the surface area of a drinking cup, suppose you had one of those word problems and it was asking if you've got a paper cone-shaped drinking cup, it's asking the question, how much paper does it take to make? How many square inches of paper? Well, you wouldn't be worried about that opening, would you? You'd only be worried about lateral surface area because the opening on that paper cup, the base of that paper cup, is open. So you can put stuff into it. So lateral surface area is usually the main formula that you're going to want to look at on one of these. Okay? Pi RL. Your radius, remember, is half the diameter, so we got to take 3.5, cut it in half is 1.75. Slant height was already given. This one, it says round to the nearest square inch. So we're going to round it. We're actually going to use pi, and then we're going to round it off to the nearest whole number. 15.93 pi, which when we round it off is about 50 centimeters, 50 square centimeters. Total surface area is going to be that number that we already got plus the area of the base, pi r squared. So we add all of that stuff together. When we round it all off, it ends up being about 60 square centimeters. All right. So your lateral surface area, rounded to the nearest square inch, is 50. Oh, square centimeter. Excuse me. The problem's printed wrong. Surface area, 60 square centimeters. Okay, the area of the base, remember, is always pi r squared. So on that problem, when we talk about volume, 1/3 of capital B times H, capital B is always pi r squared on a cone. So 1/3 of capital B times H is 1/3 of pi r squared times 8.4. That's the height that they gave us. We multiply it all out. We round it off to the nearest square, the nearest whole number. 27 cubic centimeters is your volume. This one's another rectangular prism. It's a shoebox, 12 by 5 by 4. Volume, length, width, height. Length times width times height. 12 times 5 times 4, 240. Surface area, we plug in that formula. 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. Okay, as long as you've got all of them set up consistently, it doesn't matter which one is length or width or height. All right, we end up just adding all of that together. We've got a surface area of 256. We've got a volume of 240. The pillars in front of Mr. Jefferson's homes. In front of Mr. Jefferson's home are shaped like cylinders. It's got a height of 24 and a radius of 8. Leaving our answers in terms of pi, remember that we're only going to punch into the calculator the actual numbers, not pi. So we look at our formulas for cylinders. Surface area, 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. So that means we're going to be doing 2 pi, and then our radius is 8. Our height is 24. Remember that in the calculator, the only thing that you're doing is 2 times 64. The only thing that you're doing in the second part is 2 times 8 times 24. Okay? If we were looking for lateral surface area, that would be this part right here, 2 pi rh. Fortunately, we're not going to be doing that. All right? All we got to do is look at 128 plus 384. 512 is the number that we're going to type into the canvas with the knowledge that it's 512 pi. Volume, pi r squared times h. So pi times 8 squared times 24. 64 times 24 gives us our volume of 1,536 pi. Drinking cup, lateral surface area, total surface area. This one doesn't even ask about volume, and you will notice that that's probably a good thing, right? Because this one doesn't give us a straight height. It only gives us the slant height. Since it only gives us the slant height, we don't actually need to deal with the volume, all right? So lateral surface area, remember on a cone, lateral surface area is pi RL. So it's pi times the radius times the slant height. Remember that your diameter is twice as much as the radius, so we have to cut it in half to get R. That's why it's 1.5 and not 3. All right, 6 pi, we round to the nearest square inch, and that's 19. Okay, this one is rounded to the nearest square inch is what it says right there. So that means we have to actually include pi this time, and we're going to round it to the nearest whole number. Total surface area. We've got pi r squared plus pi rl. Okay, pi r squared is pi times 1.5 squared. 6 pi is what we already found for pi rl. So we just add it up, 8.25 pi. We round to the nearest whole number, and it's about 26 square inches. You purchase a ice cream waffle cone, 70 millimeters tall, 40 millimeter opening at the top. On your canvas, it might say that it's 72.8 for the slant height. This over here on the left side, once again, that's how we found it. Okay, we said that it was 70 millimeters tall, 40 millimeters across. That means the radius is 20. We've got a misprint here on the slideshow. That's not 40, that's 20. All right, so we find the slant height, and our slant height is 72.8. Okay, so whenever we're dealing with the cones, we're probably going to be using capital B at some point. Capital B, remember, is pi r squared, so it'd be 400 pi. Okay, So as we look at this one, your lateral surface area does not use capital B. Lateral surface area is just pi RL. So that's going to be pi. Oh, change the slide on me. Lateral surface area is just going to be pi RL. So it'll be pi times 20, your radius, times 72.8, your slant height. 1456 pi is approximately 4,574 square centimeters, or square, should be millimeters. That's how we're rounding off to the nearest whole number. Total surface area is going to be that lateral plus whatever we get for pi r squared. So we do all of that rounding, everything all together. It ends up 5,831 for your total surface area, including the base. For volume, we're going to actually use that capital B because it's 1/3 times capital B times H. Your height, remember, is 70. So it's 1/3 times 400 pi times 70. Ends up being a really big number, and that's okay. All right, it's volume. You're multiplying a whole lot of stuff all together, including 70s and 40s, and in this case, 400. So that's what it all is. It ends up being a really big number, but that's all right. That's the correct answer, 29,322. Moving on to a swimming pool that is cylindrical. Okay, it's got a diameter of 10, so a radius of 5. And it's got a depth of 3, so that'll be your height. Round your answer to the nearest square meter, so that'll be rounding to the nearest whole number again. Surface area, total surface area, 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. So 2 pi times 5 squared plus 2 pi times 5 times 3. That right there, 30 pi, that's your lateral surface area. Total surface area is 80 pi. And this is the one that we're worried about. Total surface area, 251. For volume, pi r squared h. Okay, all of these formulas are on the back wall and the side wall, and you need to make a cheat sheet. Pi times 5 squared times 3. 25 times 3, it's 75 pi, y'all. Rounded to the nearest whole number is 236. Square base pyramid is covered with cloth. Excuse me. Covered with cloth everywhere except for the base. Pyramid has a height of 12, a slant height of 15. Each side is 11. Round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so the area of the base is going to be 11. It's an 11 by 11 area, so it's 121. Your volume, if you're talking about this pyramid, is 1/3 times capital B times the height, which is 12. Okay, 1/3 times area of the base times height. 484. Rounded to the nearest whole number is 484. Lateral surface area is just the area of the triangular lateral faces. So that's going to be 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Perimeter of the base, it's a square base, and all of the sides are 11. So the perimeter is 44. 1/2 times 4 times 11 times the slant height of 15 equals 330. That right there is your lateral surface area. Total surface area is going to be lateral area plus area of the base. Well, we already said area of the base was 121, so we just add those together, and your total surface area is 451. Okay? Now, I will say that if you see a problem like this on the test, it's a square base pyramid covered with cloth everywhere except for the base. So we would really only be using lateral surface area. We would only be using this top part, not the total surface area. A steeple, that is a pyramid with a hexagonal base. It gives us the area of the hexagonal base. It tells us how long each side is. It tells us the slant height of each triangle, 125 feet. So, lateral surface area on this pyramid is 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times slant height. Well, the perimeter of a hexagonal pyramid, it's got 6 sides, and they're all 100. So it's 6 times 100. 1/2 times 600 times 125. Great big old lateral surface area. But guess what? Your total surface area is that lateral area plus the base, which it already gave us right up here. So that becomes all of that added together with the area of the base. And this right here is your total surface area. All right, that's all we've got for this test review. I want y'all to look at the formulas that are on the boards inside the room and make your cheat sheet accordingly. Okay, anything that you thought was relevant to you as you were working on this review, anything that you thought it was useful, you need to put it on that cheat sheet. Okay, because the questions on your test are just like the ones on the review, like we've always done it. That's all we're going to have for today. So y'all have a good one.